What should we do about private gun sales? We got a question from a viewer. It goes like this. If I want to sell my gun to a friend, do I need to do anything special so I'm not doing it illegally? Now, before I answer this question, quick reminder, we have a gun giveaway going on right now. You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. So just click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. Now, before I begin anything, I'm going to tell you that this is not legal advice. This is just an understanding of what goes on around the country. What may appear to be a simple exchange could get you into trouble. For the majority of gun owners, a firearm is nothing more than a tool. When we buy or sell a tool, we don't give it much more thought than beyond whether or not we are getting the price we want. Firearm sales involve a little bit more. But the good news is there are fewer federal laws on private sales than are on commercial sales. However, if you happen to violate a bit of the federal law that does govern private sales, you could lose not only your Second Amendment rights, but also your freedom and your liberty. You can utilize the USCCA Reciprocity and Gun Laws map at uscca.com/travel to stay up to date on federal and local laws. Here are the basics. If you commonly sell or buy guns, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives suggests you apply to become a federal firearms licensee. This requires a background check, your promise to keep good records, and a few other terms that are beyond the scope of this video. But under certain circumstances, becoming an FFL can be quite lucrative. FFLs are able to receive firearms from manufacturers and wholesalers around the country. FFLs can transfer, as in deliver, firearms to private citizens in their home states or to other FFLs out of state utilizing the Form 4473. This all happens to do with crossing state lines. Depending on where you live, you may be legally allowed to transfer a firearm to another resident of your state without involving either the state or federal government. Everything changes as soon as you're going from a resident of one state to a resident of another state. There's a lot of old information, new information, and misinformation floating around with regard to transferring a firearm to someone who resides in a state other than yours. If you, as a private citizen, want to sell or gift your gun to or receive a gun from a citizen in another state, the best way to do that is with the assistance of a federally licensed firearms dealer. This is not only the safest way to legally transfer a firearm from one citizen to another, but it's also the law. Again, there are a lot of, well, I know it used to be stories floating around online and at local gun clubs, but if the transfer crosses state lines, you will have to bring FFLs and Forms 4473 into the equation. Speaking of which, a lot of people think that Form 4473 is firearms registration. It's not. The 4473 is the mandated federal form for recording the firearms transfer, and that 4473 doesn't get sent to your local police, state police, or even the ATF. Like your tax documents, Form 4473 is protected by the Privacy Act of 1974. There are very rare instances where anyone would ever see it. If a firearm were found at a crime scene, police would contact the manufacturer to identify to which distributor the serial number was transferred. Once the distributor identifies the retailer, law enforcement would contact that FFL to review who purchased the gun in question. The ATF requires that an FFL maintain those 4473s for not less than 20 years. Now let's talk about in-state private transfers. Individual sellers living in California, Colorado, Nevada, New Jersey, Washington, or Illinois as of 2022 will need to sell through a dealer. In most instances, the dealer may collect a fee and the FFL holder can decline to facilitate the transfer. Why might an FFL decide to decline a transfer? Seasoned federally licensed firearms dealers develop a certain sixth sense, and there are some key tells that someone may be attempting what's known as a straw purchase. A straw purchase is when someone who is eligible to buy a firearm attempts to purchase that gun for someone who is not eligible to buy it or even possess it. Whenever you sell a firearm to an individual, it's your responsibility to ensure the buyer isn't prohibited from possessing that firearm. Prohibited persons include felons, habitual drug users, minors, the mentally ill, those under certain court orders, and those that have been arrested for domestic violence. Even if you're not legally obligated to do it, you're morally obligated to make sure that you're not placing a lethal weapon into a prohibited person's hands. Laws regarding firearm sales, possession, and reciprocity change often. So keep that USCCA laws page handy, because to be a truly responsibly armed American, you must take the time to review and understand the laws in your state. You're pulled over by the police and you're carrying concealed. Do you need to do anything special in this scenario? Like tell the officer you have a gun. Click this video right next to me and I'll break down that scenario step by step on what you should do.